Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe here over at Maui Interactive. If you didn't notice, I rebranded the YouTube as well as my entire company. Previously, we went under names like Techie Design and Joseph Develops, and of course my personal name, Joseph Abraham. But going forward, I think Maui Interactive is going to be the way I present my channel and my business pretty much for the rest of my life, or maybe the business will even extend past my life. But Maui Interactive, that's me. Just wanted to disclaimer that as this is all new. So it's been a while since I've made a video. It's been maybe like a few years or 3 or 4 years for this channel. I've been making videos on my other Maui Game Studio channel, which if you want to check it out, I'll put a link up there somewhere. That's a game development company that I started making video games and making game assets and game education. Okay, so let's just get ahead and start talking about what we're going to talk about on this video. Today I want to talk about custom domain emails. So let's start the video. So what are custom domain emails? Custom domain emails are like when you have a website, for example, mauiinteractive.com, and you want to create an email that's associated with that website's domain. So an example email for my website would be like info@mauigamestudio.com or info@mauiinteractive.com. And a lot of people like the idea of that type of email because what it does is it makes your business seem like it's a bit more established, a bit more credible. But I don't know if I necessarily feel the same way. What I'm going to talk about in this video is I'm going to talk about why I think that it might not necessarily be the best choice for a lot of businesses. Not to say that it's always a bad choice, but there are some things to consider, and I'm going to go over those kind of in a tidy list. So let's get to it. Okay, so first off, if you get one of those custom domain emails, one of the problems that you might see is that your emails are not being received by whoever you're trying to send email to. That's because email service providers are pretty complicated. Sending an email is much more complicated than it is on the surface than it might seem to the average person. Literally, there's thousands of filters and tests that every email must go through in order to arrive in your inbox. And the reason for that is because your email provider is trying to protect you from harm. So, because of that, a new domain is actually seen as something that is an uncredible source. So if you're getting an email from a new domain, say for example like mauiinteractive.com, the email service provider may think that you are not a credible source, so it might not actually have the email sent. You have to set up what's called an SMTP or the equivalent, and that can take money from your dev, and it also is not 100%. Like, the process of sending an email is so complicated that there's no guarantee that you're going to receive your email. However, it's much more likely with an established free provider that your emails will be received than with a new custom domain email. So the next reason why I'm not a big fan of custom domain emails for a lot of new businesses is because custom domain email does require some level of maintenance, and it also has a cost associated with it. And I'm going to talk about the cost a little bit later in the video, but right now I just want to talk about maintaining the custom domain email. So first off, you have to make sure that that email is paid. You have to make sure that your accounts are valid, that your contact information for the email is valid. All of these things, if they fall off, you can find yourself in a situation where you may not be able to access your email. And you might think like, hey, maybe I'll just get a new one, or I'll just, set up something different. Well, be careful, because that custom domain email that you set up that you no longer have access to, it's possible that maybe you could use it to log into your bank account, or you used it to log into your billing account, or your accounting information, or anything related to your business. So if that's the case, one, you have to worry about not being able to access your information. But if your domain is sold off to someone else or another business, maybe even like in Vietnam or India or something, you have no chance of being able to access those accounts a lot of times. So you have to make sure that you have an account that you can access, which is part of the reason I'm not a big advocate of custom domain emails as opposed to free. Free Gmail accounts, for example, which is what I tend to use, basically never turn off. They never disappear. Once you set one up, it's there for life and it requires no maintenance. So if you're sending your important banking information there, and if you're sending your password retrieval for all your important accounts there, it will be retrievable pretty much forever. The same is not true at all, not even close, for a custom domain email. I've actually had very negative experiences. You can read about it more on my blog if you want to check it out. It's in the description. Where I actually was unable to retrieve information, and it's just a big headache all around. So best we can do is to avoid that. Okay, so I said I was going to come back to the cost, so let's talk about that. The service provider I use is called Google Workspace, which provides you with the same interface that you would use in a standard Gmail email account, right? I think the starting price for one user is $6 per month, which, $72 per year. Per 10 years, that's $720. This cost adds up, especially if you add additional users. So what if your company starts at 1 and then it goes to 100 emails that you have to create? This costs more and more money. Now, granted, there are freer and cheaper ways to do it, but they also come with their fair share of downsides. But that being said, that cost does add up. Where if you're using free email accounts, or if you're having employees use their own personal email accounts, especially if they're not corresponding with clients and customers, it's more just something that a lot of owners of companies just kind of want. The last thing I want to say before we get to our conclusion is that I don't personally feel, and I haven't personally seen enough evidence to persuade me to the idea that a custom domain email actually does lend itself to giving the business more credibility. There are lots of scammers. There are lots of businesses that seek to do you harm, organizations that seek to do you harm, that have custom domain emails. So I don't really see that as a sign of establishment. There are other ways in which I would pursue with my clients that have a way of lending digital credibility to a company that have nothing to do with your domain name email. One of those forms of credibility that I push really hard with my clients is obtaining Google reviews. Some of the businesses have achieved hundreds of Google reviews that I work with since I started working with them. And I'll tell you, when you see a business with 200 Google reviews versus one with 10, it's not a hard decision to decide which one you trust more. In addition to that, I also think Instagram and other social media profiles are great for building credibility with an audience and with potential customers. So those are ways in which you can focus on. And again, it kind of goes full circle, because if you have that Instagram account and you have it linked to a paid custom domain name email, you might lose it. So again, I would say use free emails to connect to all your social media accounts. Pro tip. So let's go ahead and conclude the video here. First off, I think that it's okay for businesses to have custom domain emails? Yes, I do. But I think for most new businesses, unless you're like a tech company or a really big business, I don't really see the validity in having those custom domain emails. You have to have a really tight grip on what's going on with those accounts. So you're going to need like an admin staff, or you're going to just have an owner who's really on top of it. Either way, it's kind of one of those things where I don't really think it helps, and it tends to, in the long run, be something that can hurt. So, if you have maybe more than 5 people working for you full time, or, something like that, maybe then consider doing a transition to custom domain emails. And also, you want to make that transition slow so that the servers have a while to figure out that your domain is a credible source to receive email from. And you also have to figure out and test it as you go. So just be ready that it's going to be extra work if you do the custom domain email. And you can get started a lot faster in a new business or a small business with the free stuff. And I highly recommend the free stuff. If you have money, I would just say there's a lot of other places to put it. All right, I recorded that whole video. Wow, this is great. So thanks a lot for coming to my channel. I guess you watched the whole video. That's amazing. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. I think maybe like less than, something like 95% of the people who view my videos are not subscribed to this channel. And, especially when you're dealing with a channel that has under 300 subscribers, maybe consider doing it because it means a huge deal to us. In addition to that, I'm trying to build up a Discord community for this channel. You can join the Discord. I'll leave the link in the description. Other than that, I do have a game development studio, so if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to some of those links in the description as well. I also do consulting, primarily for web development and web pages, web design, WordPress, that type of thing. I'll give you a link to that if you want to hire me directly, and then I can help you, figure out your digital marketing strategy or help you to fix your website or whatever you need. In addition to that, I also do websites still. So if your business needs a website and it's kind of like a small business, around 100 people or around that general vicinity, 100 employees, I'll probably be a great fit for you. So go ahead and give me a call, give me an email, and let me know that you're interested, and I'd love to talk to you. I'll see y'all later. Aloha from Hawaii. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll check you later.